I would like to welcome you very warmly. Today's presentation is about how to take care of newly registered partners. This presentation is different from presentations 1 to 4, being the trainings in the subject recruitment, business presentation, and consumer presentation, because those presentations were recorded as if they were live and were given for a new person, while all the remaining presentations are recorded to explain things, to provide you with the biggest possible knowledge. Let's get down to the point. As far as taking care of new people is concerned, it is necessary to start from classifying what types of people we have in marketing. In practice, we register all people as partners, but not each of those people will be willing to expand the network. Therefore, we divide people into the so-called consumers. These are people who register with the status of a partner, but they soon operate only and exclusively with the status of a buyer, which means they do not want to develop the network, do not want to recommend, they just buy products for themselves. The share of such people is about 85%, and one should be really glad with it, because such people are the ones who give the most stability to your business because they buy products. 10% of people are the so-called sellers. These are people who do not want to expand the network as well, but they make bigger orders. Most often, they are the sellers who, during the first days of euphoria and after a good product training, accomplish the list of 6 clients and generate orders for more than 1,000 points per month because they have lots of orders from their clients. Therefore, the product training is so important, if not the most important, because people who accomplish it may regularly place their orders even if they do not want to further develop the business. "5% of people are the so-called leaders. Most often, they are the people who want to expand the network, want to earn money from it, and who also see that this business offers the opportunity of achieving great financial results and also gaining financial freedom. Each of those people is provided with the so-called 7 days. What does it mean? 7 days. It is the number of days during which one should give product training and business training, so that people place orders, acquire clients, and arrange at least 2-3 people. Why are those 7 days so important? It often happens that people are like volcanoes. At the meeting, everything is perfect. They demonstrate really great enthusiasm, great vision, yet it all decreases day by day. Therefore, it is so important to give them the product trainings and recruitment training quickly within those 7 days, for if we do not accomplish them quickly, then after 7 days the people will probably even forget that they have been registered on something. So there is a rule to strike while the iron is hot, to make use of this energy and willingness to act as soon as possible. The type of activities we undertake depends on who shows up at the meeting. A consumer. Usually we perform the activities after registration. We make an evening phone call, give product training and recruitment training. If we have a seller, then the first activities for the seller are identical to those for the consumer, because it is the seller who actually creates themselves through activities to be a person making big orders or not. Those 5% of leaders are people with whom we do our evening activities. We make a phone call in the evening, yet our main task is to teach them how to give the presentations. The majority of the people who have committed themselves to marketing and started to generate really huge turnovers create very big groups. They are people who quickly did the meetings. A successful meeting convinces them that they will be good in it, that it's something for them. You can be incredible in motivating people, but if they themselves feel like doing it, they know they can do that, they get committed even more. Therefore, if your meeting is attended by a leader, that is a person who has great energy, it is great to talk to them. You feel when talking to that person that they are interesting, have an interesting way of speaking, and most importantly, during the conversation you can see that they think positively and are friendly. If you feel that such person's features of character will attract other people, then it is advisable to immediately teach such a person how to give presentations. There is no sense in giving them the product training, as such a person, if they get involved in the business, will still place orders. In fact, 95% of people after registration should be first given the product training. Yet the leader should be first taught how to give the presentation so that they quickly start to hold the meetings and feel that it is something good. If after those meetings that they have arranged everything harmonizes perfectly and there are effective registrations, then we train them how to give product trainings and how to give recruitment trainings. Which means that we do not give the product training to this person, but we teach them how to give it to other people. Once again, you have to remember that all people who are involved in the business place the orders anyway. Let's proceed to each of the subpoints. What are the activities after registration? When I register a person, the biggest mistake I can make is to simply register them and then leave alone. It is important that after the registration you set the final activities with them. First of all, it is worth giving a like to a fan page of a company on Facebook or Instagram so that those people receive frequent notifications about new posts, so that the apps remind them that there is something like our company. In addition, the person should be added to the group because there are surely lots of interesting information and trainings in your Facebook groups or other social media, and therefore it is advisable to add them to keep them informed. In addition, the person should be added to product groups, for example, with the effects of collagen use, so that they become even more convinced to the product. It is also worth talking with such a person about it so that they make an appointment with you for a training, because there are many people who are registered but no one tells them what to do next. It is very important that such a person has a specific date set for a product training. Remember that you should do all of that within 7 days to, as I said, strike while the iron is hot. It is also advisable to ask that person to keep the information for themselves, because people often start talking to other people very quickly while they still do not have any knowledge about this. And then it usually ends up with demotivation and giving the business up. It is also good to make sure that the person places the first order. Remember that if such a person does not place an order within a few days of registration and after the product training, then they will probably never place any such order. The first order is very important because when a person purchases the product and the product convinces them, then there is a great chance that they will buy it regularly. If such a person does not buy the product when being at the peak of their form, then it is hard to expect that it may happen later. It is also advisable to arrange with such a person some contacts from their list, to arrange a few meetings, because if you want to work on hot contacts and the continuation, then it is worth taking 2-3 meetings to be able to quickly and dynamically expand the network. The target to achieve at this point is that you arrange meetings with at least 2-3 people with each person registered in your network, whether it is a consumer, a seller or a leader, and it is worth making sure that the person has made an order for 500 points. Why 2-3 meetings? To keep the continuity and continuation. Why 500 points? The bigger the order, the more products have been purchased, the bigger the chance that such a person will place orders every month, because the quality of the product stands up for itself. What does an evening phone call mean? If you have arranged the meetings for a person and the meeting was not later than 6 p.m., 7 p.m., then it is advisable to call that person the same day. It often happens that the people at the meeting demonstrate great euphoria and then they come back home, talk to their family, talk to their friends because they did not listen to the advice to keep the information for themselves for some time, and then, unfortunately, the family is unhappy or says that it is some strange project and that it is better not to get involved in it, and such a person may give up at that point. Therefore, it is good to call them in the evening. The call lasts just 2-3 minutes, and the statistics show that out of 10 people who wanted to give up, 7 people may be saved this way. Encouraged to make an attempt. First of all, call them and ask whether everything is okay. If it is okay, then just remind them of a specific date set by you for the product training. If they say that they have decided that they want to give up, then the biggest mistake that can be made is to ask them, why do you want to give up? If you ask them why they want to give up, they will tell you, because this is how it works with me, because I have thought it over, because I have concluded so. Obviously, it is not true, because if someone was satisfied at the meeting and then gave up just several days later, then the probable scenario is that someone convinced them to leave it. Therefore, it is important to ask whether this person talked to someone about this. If they say they did, for example, they talked to their spouse, then it is advisable to say that if the spouse criticized it, it is understandable. It is obvious because people who are taught to do typical work, they see it in such a manner that if they go to work, they have to earn. While in marketing, when you tell someone that you start from scratch, many people may undermine it and laugh at it because they say that you start from scratch because someone probably told you fibs and it's no use getting involved in it. However, you might tell them that we had the same situation in our family at the beginning, that everyone was laughing at that, but when we started to have first successes, first financial results, then the same people started to say that this is good after all. It is also advisable to overcome the objections that someone has told that it is a kind of a pyramid or some kind of a chain. It's good to overcome this objection by explaining that many people may say so because many people unfortunately do not have enough knowledge about it. I have to emphasize that one of the most important arguments during such an evening phone call is to ask this person to give you 7 days for cooperation with you. If this person does not see greater results during those 7 days or does not feel that it is good, then you will no longer bother this person. Yet, if that person wants to undertake the activities during those 7 days and finds out that it is good, then we have a clean conscience that we have done everything that we have helped them. And it often happens that such a phone call made by you changes a lot. Do not forget about it. It is just 2-3 minutes, remember about it. The evening phone call is made by a person who held the meeting and not the person who arranged someone to come to the meeting. Let's proceed to product trainings. As I said before, the product training is the most important training that has been ever developed in the company. It shows which activities are so-called superficial activities and which activities are very important. Explaining how the online store operates is a superficial issue, and what is surely important is to check whether a given person remembered their login and password to the site after registration, because many people forget about it. So the question is how they could place the orders passively. Another very important element is to create the list of clients and explain the products based on their features, advantages, benefits. An important element is to find 6 clients who will purchase products from that person and, first of all, to get to know the methods of recommending so that it is done in a professional manner. An element which is often forgotten after the training is the closure of such a training. What do I mean? As I said before, if someone gets registered and no one tells them what to do next, then even if the meeting ended with success, it will become a failure after just several minutes because no continuation has been agreed upon. It is somehow similar to getting a job but not being told when to come in. The same happens with a situation after registration. If someone gets registered and no one sets any specific date with them, a date of product training or what is going to happen next, then such a person can often forget that they have been registered at all. The same happens with the trainings, product or recruitment trainings. If a person at the meeting accomplishes the whole training and no target is agreed with you, meaning what order should be placed, what clients should be served from those that you have entered into the list together, what the deadline is, and you do not set a date for a recruitment training with that person, then probably the whole meeting will be just chatting away about everything and nothing in particular. The important elements include 6 clients that a person needs to have their account very active as far as the orders are concerned. It often happens that people who only place an order for themselves will not buy the products quickly because the products are very economical to use and are not used up after a month. If someone who feels the euphoria finds for themselves several clients and they increase the profitability, then they increase the probability that the account will be active. For even if a given person does not need anything in a given month, there is a chance that one of those clients places an order under their account. Therefore, it is important to take advantage of this euphoric mood and acquire at least 6 clients. The clients are much easier to acquire than registering someone to the shop, because if you want to register someone, you have to explain the entire project and, in addition, to take their data for registration. For clients, it is enough to show the products which are of high quality and stand up for themselves. I think that natural collagen will be a sensation throughout the European market because collagen in biologically active form is hardly available. Remember to do it quickly, do it without delay, after the product training. As far as the methods of recommending are concerned, then, as it was explained earlier during the product training, it is most important to make use of things like, to give an example, occasions or all kinds of birthdays, name days. This is when one can buy a product for a gift, check what is running out at home, for it often happens that something interesting may be brought to our home but we don't even know about this. Therefore, it's advisable to compare the offer with what we have at home or not. Sometimes it is just worth creating the interest and say that you have attended a nice training recently where someone talked about collagen, which is helpful with all kinds of scars, wrinkles, stretch marks, especially the wrinkles caused by sun, all kinds of joint pains, and that you have thought about talking about it to that person because it is difficult to get this product in any store, or maybe they know someone from their surroundings who would like to use it. It is also advisable to learn how to talk about the products based on their features, advantages, benefits, to learn how to talk about the products in a nutshell. It is also worth using the so-called product displays. Sometimes it is good to buy the collagen treatment that we put on our desk, and a person may use it, and at this point when such a person asks us what treatment it is, we may say that, for example, we use the night phase regeneration treatment, and such a person may ask whether they could also use it. Sometimes it is good to buy a product and just put it somewhere. Buy the product and put it somewhere and say that it is a product which, for example, is some cleaning product, and you ask your family members to check it, and I am sure that when they use this product they will be satisfied. It is also worth working with an online catalog, the so-called shopping links, which provide access to your store without registration, yet it is advisable to earlier say something about the products to professionally take care of this person. Do not mass email people because they usually do not like being insistently sent some links to use them and buy something. Do it more personally and then send the link to the store, show them that they may buy, and the difference from those products and the points as well will be credited to your account. What are the main aspects of the recruitment training? It is a training which is first of all aimed at arranging further people for the meeting. In fact, two elements are the most important: the creation of the list of contacts and the way of making phone calls. If someone creates a list of contacts, they do it for a purpose, to know who they can call. It often happens that people who do not prepare such a list call, unfortunately, two people, and if those two people turn down their offer, they think they have no one to call. The method of making phone calls, that is the manner of making someone interested in the meeting in a professional way, is very important, because if such a person does not know how to call people, then they probably will not even arrange a meeting. Similarly to the product training or after registration of a new person, it is important to close the meeting as far as the list of contacts is concerned. Write down at least 12 people on a sheet of paper, people that we can call. Most often the only argument is whether someone knows the person. We do not decide that this person will do and that one will not do, for we do not know in fact who will want to do that and who will not. We have to first arrange a meeting with a person and then explain to them what it's about, and only at this point can we state whether this person will want to, because they will say that on their own. Think about someone you used to be in the same class, you attended with some additional classes. You may know some ambitious people. Think about people that you were doing sports with. Sports teaches determination and regularity. Think about someone with whom you were going to parties. It often happens that those people are open and very friendly. Think about someone who runs a beauty salon or a spa office in your surroundings. Think whether you may have some friends who lived abroad who are not afraid of challenges because they left for another country, so they may be people who would be interested in additional earnings. Remember that you cannot select people because even if someone claims that they are not good in doing business, they are still good in making purchases. And even the access to the products of such a high quality will also be satisfactory for them. Remember that you have to arrange the meetings by phone because it's the best and the most effective method. You can shortly and specifically say what you are in and also hear the emotions of the other person. Try not to make appointments by Facebook or some other social media, because writing someone on Messenger or some other portal does not show that it is about doing business. And often when you message someone, they ask questions, and instead of making the arrangement for presentation, you start explaining everything on Messenger. Furthermore, remember to be very specific when explaining what it's about. If you really want to tell someone about it with the use of social media, though we do recommend the phone call, then it is worth knowing that what we want to present is very visual and it is difficult to describe. Therefore, it is advisable to arrange a meeting held via Zoom or another app which allows you to connect, and then you give a short 20-minute presentation to present what it is about. Yet, as I said earlier, it is worth making a phone call. Remember also about your role at the meeting. If you invite your leader to the meeting to help you hold it, then remember to help this person during the meeting with registration, say something, talk about the products, share your opinion, and in addition, introduce this person so that they are well received. Therefore, your role at the meeting is also very important. First of all, remember to arrange the meetings with people no later than within 2 days of the conversation, because it often happens that when the meeting is to be held a week later, it won't even take place because such a person will forget about it. It is also advisable to agree on a specific date for the meeting because people often cannot set a date when talking with you. And the worst question that you may ask is, when do you have time? They will surely tell you that they do not have time, and therefore it is very important to arrange specific times of meetings. What should you do if you do not have any effects in spite of following all those activities? First of all, think over whether you initiate work. Remember that we work in such a project that one can do but does not have to. The project that you can do but do not have to means that ambitious people do it, and people who do not feel like doing it do not. It is a bit similar to an optional lecture at the university. The practical classes are attended by everyone, while the lectures only by a handful of people. Therefore, if you want to have a group where it happens a lot, you have to initiate it. If you do not initiate the work, not much will happen around your team. The second thing is whether you close the trainings in a good way. It happens sometimes that we have a nice talk but we do not close the training. Let's assume that you have a recruitment training and you do not arrange specific meetings with a given person for them to hold. Usually such a person goes through the recruitment training with you but nothing special comes from it. And the last thing is whether you perform the activities with new people within 7 days of registration. It often happens that we have a so-called spurt. We register someone, yet someone is not specially taken care of, and after several days such a person is simply lost because their enthusiasm decreases. I hope that this whole training will help you cooperate with consumers, with sellers, with a leader, and first of all, will help you act firmly and effectively, generate high turnovers, and register many people. Thanks for listening.